Hello, friends. In the continuation of the videos about HiTek Studio software, which is related to HiTek brand HMIs, today we want to continue discussing switches and get more familiar with window operations, function keys, and data transferring. In the previous videos, in the Components tab under the Switch section, we got familiar with bit sets and bursts. Today, we want to get to know window operations, function keys, and data transferring. As the name suggests, window operations are meant to perform certain actions on the pages we've created in the HMI. First, I'm going to create a few different pages in my program. For example, the program I'm about to write will have 3 pages. In the Window Palette tab, I click on New Window. In the window description, it says Base Window 2, which means this is my second page. I change its color. For example, I set the color to yellow. I create another page. We said we need 3 pages. I set their color to green. Okay. I give each page a name in the text section. I name this one Page 1. I make the font a bit bigger. Okay. I copy this, and I paste it into Page 2 in Window 2 as well. Here, this becomes Page 2, my second page, and I also paste it into Page 3. I change its name and set it to Page 3, which means the third page of my software. So now, I've created one page, and then I created 2 more pages next to it. I want to go from one page to another. What should I do? In the Components tab, under the Switch section, I click on the Window Operations section. A window opens up for us. It asks, when you press this switch, what operation should be performed for you in the Window Operations section? Should it switch windows, meaning go from one page to another? Should it open a pop-up? Should it open a specific page that you have in mind? Should it close the pop-up? Should it close the page that was opened? Should it go back to the previous page? For example, let's say you were on Page 2. It should go back to the previous page, which is Page 1. Or if you were on Page 3, it should go back to the previous page, which is Page 2, or not. Should it go back to the main page that we created in the HMI? For example, I want the switch to change the window. When I press this, it should go to the second page. Okay. On Page 2, I'll add another window operation. I'll say, when I press this, switch the window and go to Page 1. Okay. So, on Page 1, I said when I press this, go to Page 2, and on Page 2, I also said when I press this switch, when I press this button, go to Page 1. Alright, now I'll click on Offline Simulation. Now, if I press this button, it should go to Page 2, which is what I set up. You see, it went to Page 2. Now on Page 2, I want to go back to Page 1. If I press this again, it goes back to Page 1. So, the operations we perform in the Window Operations section allow us to switch between HMI pages, close a page, open a specific page we have in mind, and return to the main page that we created in our HMI software. So, we learned about window operations, which let us switch between pages and open a specific page in the HMI. Alright, in the Components tab, under the Switches section, the next part is function keys. It asks, if you press this button that you've placed, what operation should be performed, what function operation should take place. So, it says you can return, go back one step, backspace to add a space, clear, or delete. You can cancel what I wrote, assign a specific Unicode code. Move between the characters, shift their position. Select text means go to the end or the beginning of the text. Text operation means performing copy, cut, and paste actions on some text. For example, I say when I press this, I want to clear it, to delete it. Okay, what should it delete? So now, I'll set this to the clear operation from the Component tab. I'll bring in an invisible input value. I assign it to the address of word 0 and place it next to this. Again, I run the offline simulation. Now, I open this page, and I want to give some value to this word 0 using the keyboard. For example, I want to set it to 200. Now, if I want to clear this 200, I can do it with this function key that I created. I defined it and set its function. The clear operation. As soon as I press this button, the 200 should be cleared from here, from my keyboard page. You can see that it worked. So, function keys are switches, buttons that perform certain tasks to make things easier for us on our keyboard and with our texts. So now we've become familiar with window operations and function keys. But in the Components tab, in the Data Transferring section, when you select the Data Transferring section, as the name suggests, it means that by pressing this button, some data is supposed to be transferred from one place to another. When you click, this page appears for you. It asks, where is my source address? Where should I read from and where should I transfer it to? For example, I say, read from word 0 and transfer it to word 1. Okay. I take this one. That my email address is 0. Right? Okay, I make another copy of it and paste it. I need to change its address and set it to the address of word 1. Alright, now we run the offline simulation. In the data transferring, I set it up so that if I press this button, whatever number is in my source address, that is, my word 0, whatever number I had entered, after pressing this button, that number will also be entered into my word 1. Now, for example, I enter the number 100 into word 0. By pressing this button, the value 100 should also be written into word 1. You can see that my word 1 also changed to the value 100. So, where is this useful? I'm going to delete all of these. I'll draw a page. Here. I'll make it a bit bigger. For example, I'll fill it with a color. For example, this color. Okay, I want to have 4 inverters next to each other. I want that when I set the first inverter to 50 Hz. The second, third, and fourth inverters also get set to 50 Hz by pressing a single button. So, the first thing we do is place 4 inverters here with different addresses. First, I'll add a picture of an inverter from right over here. For example, the S100 inverter. I'll make 4 copies of it. Let's do a multi-copy with itself. FOLLIN. I'll leave a bit of space between them. Okay, I'll assign the first inverter the Modbus address 0. The name was numeric input, but the address is Modbus 0. So, as we said, instead of adding numeric input each time, we can just copy it from here and paste it below. Since there are a lot of them, I'll do it this way. I click on this. In the Edit section, I select the multi-copy option. A window pops up asking me if I want to have 4 more numeric input items next to it with sequential addresses. So, the addresses will be 0, 1, 2, 3, just like that. So I click OK and specify that I want 4 of them horizontally next to it, and just 1 vertically, which is the original one. I hit OK, and you can see that they were created next to this one with sequential addresses. So the first one becomes allword 0. The next one is allword 1. The next should be allword 2. And the next one should be allword 3. Alright, now I go to the Components tab. In the Switches section, let's add a data transferring. The first thing is, I set it so that when I press it, whatever is in allword 0, that is, my inverter 1, gets transferred to allword 1. Again, I click Data Transfer down here and add another one. Now I say, also transfer my allword 0 to allword 2. Same thing. To allword 3. So I said, transfer allword 0 to allword 1. Transfer Lord 0 to Lord 2. Transfer the 0 word to the 3 word. So, for each inverter, we need to create a data transferring. Allword 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3. I click OK. Now, I place this push button here. I'll change its appearance a bit. For example, in the Graphics tab. I'll go ahead and import a switch button. For example, a green push button and OK. So, it's set up so that if I set inverter 1 to 50 Hz, by pressing this button, the value of 50 Hz will also be written to the other inverters, and the data transferring operation will be performed. Alright, I'll start the offline simulation. Now, if I set, for example, 30 Hz on the first inverter, by pressing this button, the other inverters will also take on the value of 30 Hz. You can see that the second, third, and fourth inverters have all taken on the value we wrote to the first inverter.